Welcome in, Loons fans, to another edition of the Matchday Preview. Jonathan Harrison here, joined once again by Manny Lagos. This time, Manny, live in front of a studio audience here at Brit's Pub, joined by the best goalkeeper in Major League Soccer. I'm going with it, Dayne St. Clair. Dayne, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Dayne coming off an incredible performance in goal in net in the game one of the round one series against Seattle Sounders in the playoffs. We'll get to all that in a little bit. We've got plenty to discuss here. Here's what we'll do for the show today. We'll do our normal chat about the playoffs, about the game itself, and then we'll close the show, open it up to the fans here, and have you guys toss some questions at Dayne, at Manny, and that's how we'll close the show. So let's jump right into it. Manny, let's talk a little bit of MLS and playoffs so far and what you've seen so far. What's been the moments or games that have stuck out to you so far in the playoffs?
Well, I think we're going to go non-Minnesota United and go from there. But I do feel like we did it quickly with Dayne, but it is super cool to have Dayne on the show today. You and I have been doing this show together for the full year, and we are in the thick of the playoffs in an awesome way now, given especially how well the team played, and Dayne just really played well on Monday night. And it's really an honor, Dayne, to have you join us. And it's been so cool to see Dayne's trajectory with this club and his country. You know, it really has been such a cool year for Dayne, and he really has put this club in a great position going into Game 2 in Seattle.
Absolutely. Dayne, we'll get to more of the game in a little bit, but what was Monday night like for you? Obviously, in net, we know about how the mind games you like to play, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in depth, but what was that night like for you, just in front of the Wonderwall, the atmosphere at Allianz Field in game one?
Yeah, it was funny because I actually was speaking to Durkee at the end of the game, and I was like, when they didn't give us the penalty, the amount of boos in the stadium, I was like, did we pump some like crowd noise into the stadium? Because that was probably one of the loudest that I remember the stadium being, especially in recent times, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that moment when the penalty wasn't given early on, and I think when you made the first save, the pop from the crowd that night was maybe the two loudest pops we've heard at Allianz Field in a very, very long time. That was really fun to see.
I think one of those things too, I just the crowd's always amazing, but I just remembering that moment. I think it could go out in one, two ways. Our guys and the crowd could have been just about the referee. And I think this is another moment where I kind of talk about watching Dayne and his leadership. You got your yellow card very quickly after that. But again, sometimes there's good yellow cards and bad yellow cards. And I think the combination of the crowd, the play, and even Dayne as one of our leaders really like in the moment saying, guys, this is we got to get going. It was a good yellow card. So what happened in that yellow card, Dayne? How did it come about?
Is it broadcast friendly? What was
there was a little bit of profanity used, but I don't think enough to warrant a yellow. Like I've said worse and not gotten a yellow. I just said it was the same push on this side that you gave. So like as players, we're just looking for consistency. And I felt like maybe if it wasn't in the box, he's probably calling a foul, so it should still be a foul in the box. But when you push someone and your hands fully extended, more times than not, it's a foul.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100% PK. I mean, it was ridiculous. But I still think Dayne's ability to make it important, because it was, and it was important to and usually this kind of situation, that doesn't always end up being a good yellow, because maybe it's a midseason game, and it doesn't. But in this situation, I think it recalibrated the referee to understand no more of that. You got to ref a good game here. And it was a big moment. And I think it picked up you saw the next 15 or 20 minutes was some of the best soccer we played in the match.
Is that the earliest yellow you've ever gotten in a game? I can't remember an earlier one in Minnesota.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I've gotten one in the first half.
Have you ever had any reds?
Not as a goalie.
All right, I'm going to knock on some.
Not as a goalie. There's a story behind that. I'm interested to hear that story. Let's jump back to the playoffs here.
Yes.
What have you seen so far that stuck out to you in the playoffs? And Dayne, you can answer this as well.
You know, I think my head goes to Vancouver right now, if I'm being honest. And again, I think watching them play, and you know, we've played well against them at Vancouver. They had a good game against us. I thought they were outstanding. I thought on both sides of the ball, they attacked really well. They defended well. They bounced back from really even harder than probably our U.S. Open Cup in terms of they had to get either a tie or a win, and they would have won the West. And so I was really impressed with their performance for 90 minutes.
Dayne, from what you've seen from the rest of the league in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's been nice kind of that the games have been spread out. Definitely a little bit weird, but you're actually able as a player to watch some of the games versus them all being kicked off at the same time or within a couple hours. So that's been nice to be able to watch. Of course, my eyes have been on the San Diego and Portland series because if we do progress, if and when we do progress, we'll be matching up with that. And so seeing that game and kind of the game kind of started off similar for Portland and when we went there. Their goalie made a few saves to kind of keep them in. And unfortunate for them, they conceded a couple ones, but were able to fight back and had some chances to potentially tie the game. So obviously, everyone knows that Providence Park isn't the easiest place to go and play. So it'll be interesting to see kind of this second game. And of course, for us, we hope it goes to 3.
Jonathan, did you get a chance to watch your favorite rivalry in the league? Hell is real.
No, because we were doing the prep for our game at the time. I was going to ask you. You mentioned Providence Park being a difficult spot to go to. Is it surprising to you guys that outside of the game last night between Charlotte and NYCFC, that every home team has won so far in round 1? Is that surprising to you, or does that kind of go along with what you thought how the playoffs would go?
I mean, I think last year was the first time we were doing this. And so I do think a good example is Miami. I still think they're kind of had players, great players, greatest player of all time, that still are getting to know what the playoffs are. And I think this year, a lot of the teams now know how important that first game is. And a credit to us. I think, like Real Salt Lake when we went away last year and this year, we were ready from the get-go. We were organized defensively. Our shape was good. Once we absorbed a little pressure from Seattle, we were ready to go forward, organized way. So I think to me, it's the second year with this series, best of 3. I just think that higher seeds are a little bit more prepared to understand how important that first game is.
Dayne, is it surprising to you that the home seeds have generally won in the first couple games?
Not at all, because I mean it's probably taken for granted with how well we do on the road, but road games, especially in our conference, with the amount of travel and difficulties of the away stadiums in terms of either playing on turf at altitude in the Texas heat in California, which is obviously a longer travel for us in different time zones. So I think especially in the Western Conference, the away games are a lot harder just based on all the outside variables that people don't necessarily think about.
Would you expect that to stick to continue going on into the game 2s that start coming up this weekend?
I'll let Dayne answer that one.
I think the game 2s are a little bit different because now there's more pressure on one team because one team knows that they have to win or else they're out. So you kind of have your back against the wall, and some teams and players rise to that occasion and some shy away. But at the same time, the higher seed is also now the one going on the road. So there's a reason that they're the higher seed in more cases than not. But at the same time, the ball is round and anything can happen. So I don't necessarily think it's because you lost the first game means you're going to lose the series, or because you win the first game means you're going to win the series. It's still the beauty of this thing is it's about winning 2, and it doesn't matter if you win the second and the third, the first and the third, the first and the 2. It's just about winning two games.
For sure. Before we talk more about kind of what your season's been like from a personal aspect, I do want to give a huge shout out. The Twosies getting a huge win in the playoffs against St. Louis at the weekend, a 2-0 win, moving on to the Western Conference semifinals, and probably one of the biggest upsets in MLS Next Pro playoff history. Awesome moment for them, awesome moment for the club to see a big win, and all credit out to the players and the coaching staff with Minnesota United too, Manny.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, obviously, behind the scenes, Dayne and the 2s and 1s are training a lot together, and Dayne's been a great mentor for all of those young kids. And I think this club this year has really embraced trying to get the 2sies more acknowledging not only the competitive side, development side. And there's just a great vibe at the locker room when I go up there and get to watch training, and I see kind of some of the 2Z guys go into the first team and then going back and forth. And I just love it. I just think there's a great vibe right now. Now we got this great big game Sunday night in Colorado, and then following it, obviously, the big one in Seattle. And it was cool. I mean, it's a great run. They've won 2 road games now. They have to win a third to get to the championship.
What's it been like for you, Dayne, to see some of these guys, some of these young kids get these minutes and get this success that hasn't really come often in this club's history?
Yeah, I mean, Kane trades with us pretty much every day, so try to give him some tips and trades to it. And it's been nice, I think. Obviously, he's working with Cristiano, who I worked a lot with last year, so I know that he's in good hands when he's training down there as well. But for me, it's developing, but also understanding and learning from the guys, but applying it to your own game. Because if you try to be somebody else, you'll never be at your best. So I think I've always told Kane, like, try things out when you're with us and see what works for you. But when you go into it, play your own game. And I think when I watch some of those games, you see his own personality come out, and maybe some of the things that I do a little bit too. But you see him put his own little spin on it, which I think has been cool to see, and the development that he's had. I think he's the one that probably I've seen the most. And then I think from the guys on the first team that have gone down there, sometimes playing those games aren't easy. It's easy to just say, we're not with the first team, we're where I want to be. So it's easy to kind of just bin those games off. But I think you see the passion and the fight of those guys, Loic and Darius, fighting and trying to push for something, and showing the guys of what it means to be able to kind of get meaningful minutes still, and to continue in their developments as well.
Yeah, it's been fun to see the development and the progress, and especially in the playoffs here. Really fun to see that, and really excited for Sunday night at Colorado. So Dayne, let's focus on you. Let's focus on your season. Obviously, we all know a finalist for Goalkeeper of the Year. What's this season been like for you to play as well as you have and get the recognition that you've gotten this season?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been nice to get the recognition, but also the team's done the best that we've done. And I think as the competitor, of course, you want to do as well as an individual and contribute to the team. But for me, it's about the team success, and I know I can have a large part in that with the position I play and the kind of lead I have on the team as well. So I think in all aspects, it's been nice that the team has done well, and it's not just myself doing well and the team doing poorly, or vice versa.
Yeah, I just think it's so important to kind of think about the year we've had and the identity of what this team has done and been, and just to think about 90 minutes of soccer, and a lot of that we are deciding to stay organized and structured defensively in our back third. And so just for me, it can be only a no-brainer for Dayne to be Goalkeeper of the Year. If you think about what he's done every game, where the ball and his organization and making sure the team is defending well, but not mentally exhausted and not panicky, but just like, this is who we are, he's Goalkeeper of the Year. Because the reality is he's just shown such good leadership when he's had to make the stops he has. But more importantly, the team has never gotten nervous about saying, we're going to defend for a while and then we'll go forward. And again, that starts with Dayne's leadership and goal. Again, it's never panicky. It's always about, this is how we're going to make sure we're dealing with the team. And most teams run out of ideas. Like Monday was another impressive performance in terms of, I felt like up to like the last 5 minutes of the game, where I do think Seattle opened us up, they had a lot of trouble breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
And for Dayne to make sure the guys are mentally there, and then it comes to him, there's 3 big saves that he had to make. Well, 2 really. I would say Musaski and Roldan late, and then Musaski missed the header. Outstanding. Yeah. I mean, it's by far the best year we've had at a goalkeeper Minnesota United jersey ever, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vito won Goalkeeper of the Year already, so
that's a I know, but it was a different team. I mean, again, we were a little bit different balance. That's why I said that this team really had to rely on the leadership of guys who had to embrace the identity that kind of, it was surprised the league. It surprises teams. So it was really impressive, Dave.
What's that like from a goalkeeper standpoint, knowing how this team sets up and how Eric Ramsey asks you guys to play, and being so defensive focused, and absorbing a lot of the pressure that you guys have to do throughout a game? From a goalkeeper standpoint, having to be on your toes for essentially 90 minutes and be on the top of your game, there's really no breaks for you throughout the game, considering the amount of pressure and the amount of possession that other teams tend to have throughout the matches.
Yeah, it's definitely nice when there's a full commitment to defending. Versus sometimes, you're trying to defend these counters on 7v4s and there's only 4 guys backs, and you see some guys walking back. So I think the commitment that we've had to defending from the front, especially, and that compactness to not really open up gaps where you can really be hurt in this league, especially in that 10 position or right in front of the box, where you see a lot of guys receiving balls, slipping passes, shooting from distance. I think the fact that we've stayed compact in those moments has kind of forced teams to either go around us and cross, or you see them, they end up on the top of our 18-yard box and end up passing the ball all the way back to their goalie because there's just no real room, and they're trying to open us up again. So from my aspect, it's nice to be able to kind of have a lot of guys close and connected that your message can get across. But I think it's a lot of the connections between them as well, because of course I'm saying and yelling as much as I can, but at the same time there has to be a commitment from them to be willing to do it, and then the ability to actually do it as well.
All right, so Jonathan, I know you're going to throw some questions at Dayne. I think I'm going to throw a couple at you before you make him do some work, and then you can throw it to Dayne. But my brain goes to some of Dayne's most historic games. All right, I'll help you out because my two are probably the Leagues Cup and this year in San Diego, which I think was unbelievable this year in San Diego. Obviously, Leagues Cup is it still a record-breaking saves in a game? And I
think that's still
definitely Leagues Cup, but yeah. But all right, so those are my two. What do you have for world-class games by Dayne St. Clair?
I mean, you mentioned the top two. Those are for sure the best. I mean, what was San Diego? 10 saves in that match? 14?
You're asking the wrong person. Honestly, some of the saves too, where it's like, I'll take it as a stat, but
yeah, I think I go back to that San Diego game with how much of the possession that we knew San Diego would have and the amount of saves that you had to make. It was double digits. I know that. I remember looking this up. It was double digits. And, I mean, with what was on the line that night, you needed a big game all across the board. And you were probably one of the biggest performers in that match because of the amount of saves that you had to make. And the saves, when they came, that probably sticks out to me the most as probably the world class.
Yeah,
I
think so too, especially that first half.
I have a clear one that I think would be in that top three as well, was the New York Red Bull game.
Oh yeah,
a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
Especially based on the situation of what I was dealing with going into that game, of kind of obviously Tyler got sick.
Yep.
So it was short notice. I mean, I was trying to fight to get back the number 1 jersey, and then we give up a penalty in the first 15 minutes or something like that. So, but to have that amount of saves, and then from that, I got called back into the national team. We qualified for the World Cup officially. So that's the one that kind of resonates in my head.
I remember that one. It's another one I forget, that goalies, because I'm a field player, my brain goes to, we have some more opportunities to get back into things in a sense. Goalies have these small margins of moments where they have to perform to be a number 1 or a number 2 sometimes. So that's an awesome one. Good memory.
When you talk about the Canada job and fighting for that number 1 goalkeeper position, going into World Cup year, how much of that is on your mind throughout the season, that you're trying to claim that number 1 spot with another good goalkeeper before the World Cup on home soil?
Yeah, I think that's been a lot of the outside motivation for me. I mean, especially having a home World Cup, our first game being in Toronto, where I'm from. But at the same time, you want to be able to represent your country and be able to put your best foot forward. So I think for me, I know that I need to have good games with the national team, but if I can be playing well with my club, that puts me in good standing as well. So I think that little bit of extra motivation has really helped and pushed me this year, and something that I've kind of leaned into versus shying away from.
Yeah. Well, when you look back at this season, and we've talked about the fact that you're up there for Goalkeeper of the Year, and if I had a vote, I would have voted you as the Goalkeeper of the Year for that one. What's the area, when you look back at your game and how you've improved this season, what's the area that you feel you've improved the most on?
I think consistency has been the biggest thing. The way that we play, of course, we're defending a lot. And I think one of the things that I do really well is I make hard saves look easy. Like, I wasn't up for any of the Save of the Years, which I don't know if one really fully stood out, and there was quite amount of good saves in there. Mm-hmm. But I think I've made some quality saves in big moments. Like, obviously everyone talks about the penalties against Seattle, but for me it was the save against Masovsky is the save of the game for me that really keeps us in a key moment in the 80th minute to allow us to get to penalties. But I think it's moments like that where when the team has needed me, I think about San Diego, the first half, I make a bunch of saves to keep us in the game to allow us to then go and win the game. So I think the saves in the key moments has what's stood out to me this year.
I'm answering for him now.
I just didn't know if you had another question for him.
No, I know. Good. I like it. Yeah.
When you look at this season, some of the stats that stick out and that Dan, Tara, and myself have brought up on the radio broadcast, the number 1 stat that sticks out to us is the few amount of goals you guys have allowed in the first half of this season. I think I think it's like 12 or 13 during the regular season that you only allowed throughout the entire season in the first half. And it always amazed us, and it felt incredibly, as you said, consistent, that you knew the first half of games you were locked down. It was gonna be really difficult to break you down. What went into how you guys set up that made it so difficult, especially in the first 45 minutes, to create dangerous chances or even score on you guys?
Yeah, I think the way that we play, teams know we're gonna kind of sit back and hit on the counter and load guys up for set pieces. It's no secret the way we play,
Right?
but that doesn't make it any easier to go against it. Especially, probably you assume halftime teams try to make some adjustments. Obviously, fatigue starts to play a factor, especially when you're defending, and it's a lot easier mentally for guys to be wanting to go forward versus come backwards sometimes to shift that extra 2 yards or whatever it may be. So that's probably it. But I think Eric has done a great job of preparing us and knowing what it takes us to start the game, and some of the adjustments that we've made. Of course, the game naturally, if it's 0-0 at halftime, it's going to open up whether you're home or where your teams are pushing for 3 points. It's not like we're going into games saying we want to tie this game 0-0. Every game that we go into, we're going with the mindset that we want 3 points, and we know that starts with a strong defensive performance. To allow us, maybe it's 1 goal or 2 goals. That it's not necessarily that we need 5 goals to win a game.
Yeah. So let's jump right into this Seattle game then.
Let's do it.
Let's jump right back into it. Manny, overall thoughts from you, and then we'll get Dane's overall thoughts on the match and how everything broke down.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I still just cannot believe, and I pinch myself that we've got that beautiful stadium that still looks brand new. Every time I go there, I get chills. And we have a crowd that just is so hungry to really cheer in the right way for the guys, depending on how the game goes. And we kind of mentioned the drama early on, but I thought it was a great first half. I thought, Seattle had a couple good moments for about 5 or 7 minutes. And I thought we just let Seattle know, no, this is going to be a tough day. Like we really, really put, unfortunately didn't get a goal, had to deal with a bad call. And it almost reminded me a little bit of the Open Cup game where we had those chances. And then we had a couple calls that should have been gone the other way, and they didn't. I just thought the guys hung in there really well. Second half, different story. Second half, we talked about Dayne's leadership. We talked about guys who, once we faltered a little bit offensively in terms of not even just creating chances, but ball possession, it was so important. The guys in the team said, doesn't matter. We're going to make sure we got our defense organization. We'll figure out a way to get through the game. We had the great chance by Prayer at the free kick. I think we had another corner kick, good chance. So we still had chances to win it as well. It wasn't just Seattle one-way traffic. In fact, I thought Seattle ran out of ideas up until that last 5 minutes. We kind of let Jordan Morris loose on that right channel. And like Dayne said, that near post save had a little hockey side to it for me. It was a little old-time hockey save, but it was great. I mean, overall, I thought it was a great night. I thought it was a great Game 1 series. It let Seattle know that we're here to win the series.
Dayne, from you, when you look back at the match overall, your thoughts and the team's thoughts on how that game broke down, and the takeaways from that match.
I think most importantly is we won. Yeah. If we play like that and we end up winning the MLS Cup, no one's going to talk about any performance or the way we did it. Everyone's going to say that they're winners, and it's the time of the year where the most important thing isn't necessarily about the way that you're playing, or it's about the result. Because I'm sure if we're to get knocked out and we play the best game of our career or our season, no one's going to feel good about it. So it's the time of the year where results are the most important thing. And of course, you want to do that performing well and being prepared. And of course, in this best of 3 series especially, that one game doesn't necessarily get the job done. But I think we got back to our identity of being hard to break down, hard to beat, not being ourselves, and frustrating teams. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's strong defensive performances like that. And of course, I think that we know that we can do better with the ball in the attacking end. And of course, the game could have been a lot different if there's a red card and a penalty in the first 10 minutes.
Should have been.
I'll let you take the fine for that. But yeah, I think even though it wasn't a fully sold out stadium, the crowd was still loud. Wonderwall was behind us. I mean, the blackout, of course, was a great idea to probably hide some of the empty seats that were there as well. But credit to the people that did show up and were there. And I think for me, potentially more games in playoffs at home, we need to fill out that stadium and make sure that it is, because I'm thinking in my head, if it was that loud with that amount of people there, if we get an extra 2,000, 3,000 people there, how much louder it can be and how much more intimidating it is. And I think that can be the extra person to kind of throw us off, to push us to the next thing. But at the same time, we know that as the players and as the staff, we need to go out there and execute, whether it's a sold out crowd or whether there's nobody there.
Yeah, when you mentioned getting back to the identity that you guys had for most of the season, the thing that we mentioned on the radio broadcast is that the performance that we saw on the field on Monday night, it felt more confident than we saw over the last couple games of the season. What went into, I guess, and maybe you guys feel differently, but it just looked like the guys on the pitch, you guys were a little bit more confident in what you guys were doing. What went into that confidence and that feeling on the night?
Yeah, I think probably first and foremost the formation change to what we played majority of the season, to be able to feel confident with that five at the back. At the same time, we knew we were going into what we're going into and what the playoffs meant, and kind of the quote unquote experiment time was over. But we also know that we've got another formation that we can use now going into the game, and I think we probably had to use that formation before based on a little bit of necessity based on guys that were available. And at the same time, now we feel comfortable and confident and getting back to who we are, and regardless of the formation, we know what it takes to be at the level that we're at. So yeah.
When you have a moment like that, Manny, from a coaching aspect, early on in the match where you have a call that doesn't go your way, and you feel like you have a couple calls that don't go your way, and you feel like there's some lopsided refereeing, how do you get the guys focused? What are the keys to remaining focused on the task at hand instead of letting kind of some of these ulterior things affect the way the game is played out?
Yeah, I would say obviously there's a lot of in-game tactical moments that coaches have influences. They have subs, they could do system changes. You know, I do think probably Eric was even prepared to maybe switch Load and Bongi, or even do a system change if the first 20 minutes didn't quite go well. I don't know. In this situation, I think that is the coaches creating good habits and good leadership earlier in the year, because they have to deal with adversity. And so that's where I was excited about this. This group has done so well with adversity. Let's think about not losing 2 games in a row all season. It's amazing. Again, another one that responded well. So I don't know if there's something the coach can do in the moment. I think that was what they've done throughout the year, and that's why it built up to deal with that. I think from the game itself, there were some elements I really liked. It was nice to see and interesting to see Joe on the right. It created some interesting touches that Seattle wasn't ready for, especially Joe's shot in that first half that didn't miss by much. And I felt like Joe even got a little more energy going forward and coming inside like that. So there were some nice things that Eric did do some tweaks, even though he went back to the tried and true back five. It was a little different. And that great first 45 minutes of Bongi was really lively, got in some nice pockets, moved the ball well. And I think I mentioned we had to win the midfield. And I thought Triantris and Will, along with when Robin and Pereira tuck in, especially in that first half, I actually thought Roldan, Rusnak, and Vargas, I thought they were a little bit overwhelmed. And I thought we won that battle for sure in the first half. I mean, it could be a debate in the second half. We got a little tired, and we had to make some subs to kind of figure it out. But overall, like I said, I think the adversity side of it is what I got so excited about. It was like the guys showed up. They're ready to go. The fans, they loved the playoffs. They knew it was playoffs. And again, I get chills because you never know. I'm from here, and I love Minnesotans, but I'm always surprised at how we get to travel and watch all these great environments, and a lot of them are great. They cheer loud. Our fans cheer about, they care, and they actually get the game. They really get it in a way that I think we should be proud. And I want us to express that on the field, which we do more, and say, yeah, we're a good team. We've got great fans. And, a lot of the MLS kind of doesn't respect us that much, but that's fine. You know what? The guys do it on the field.
Dayne, obviously you had the words with the referee shortly after. What, from an on-field perspective and on-field from a player perspective, what's the keys for you guys to just kind of remain focused and not let those moments kind of take advantage or get the better of you?
You definitely want to let the referee know, for me to apply some pressure, and to let him know and to let him think about that decision. Of course, he can't change it, but maybe the next time that it's in the gray area, maybe he's like, okay, maybe I got that other one wrong. Maybe he refs it a little bit differently. I think the crowd, especially, like, me getting the yellow probably only added more fuel to the fire, which was great to it. So like Manny said, that was probably my favorite yellow card of the season. It's definitely a little early on where I was like, normally refs will, you know what I mean, let you have some leeway, and I think it's the passion of the playoffs, and I felt like he reached for the card a little bit early in my opinion, but at the same time he probably doesn't want someone running up to him throughout the full game, and he's trying to set the tone as well for what's acceptable and what's not. From that point I understand, but as a player, yeah, you want to be able to. Every referee is going to ref the game differently, and you're trying to see where can you be in that gray area to what can you get away with. Can you tug the shirt a little bit here, or is going to be touch fouls? So you're trying to gauge that, and I think big calls like that early on really set the tone for the game, and then you're looking for that consistency throughout because the referee draws the line where the line is in the sand. And as players, you're trying to obviously move that line in your advantage, but at the same time, especially with quick free kicks and things like that, you always got to switch on. And if it's not in the box and it's not a red card, VAR can't help you. So it's not like the referee can change the decision. Yeah. So especially the ones that are early on like that, you got to be able to kind of keep your mindset and focus on what the task is at hand. Because, yeah, we can argue about the referee if we would have lost, but at the same time, the referee is not necessarily fully the reason we would have lost.
I think it's rare, especially for me, to like defend somebody getting a yellow card early and for dissent. And so I think this time's different, partly because if that was Boxall or Will, it's a little bit different for a field player getting one that early, and now Boxall has to playing a yellow card for, at that point, maybe like, I guess, 75 minutes-ish. So, but for Dayne to do it, I think it just felt like it wasn't like stupid. It was like, hey, we got to stick up for Bongi and the team a little bit here. And he had to let the referee get known. Again, I think Dayne, knock on wood, can play better with yellow cards than a field player in that situation. So it just felt right. Again, I think overall I wouldn't encourage getting yellows for dissent. It's a very rare situation was unique.
Yeah. You mentioned Bongi and kind of the runs he made, especially on the run that we've been talking about that should have been called there. What was it about him on the night and how he played in that role up top that felt like it opened up the attack a little bit more than we've seen over the past couple weeks?
Yeah, I just thought he started really sharp with his movement, his second balls. I think about the one time when Prayer went and he flicked it over and got into the channel and we got our numbers forward. We had some good possession. And I just felt like he had a confidence about when he touched it that our guys were like, let's go forward. He's going to keep it for us. Again, I thought in the second half he kind of lost that, and I thought the guys got a little fatigued more. That's why I said the second half got it shifted. If we kept possession a little bit more, I think we could have even gotten higher up the field again. But again, we just lost it a little bit more than we did in the first half. And I just thought he did a good job of setting the tone for Seattle. When they started throwing numbers forward right away, 1v1 against Jackson Reagan, Seattle's like, no, we can't just throw our numbers forward. They can have the ball in front of us, but it's not like they can just have guys underlapping, overlapping, and creating real odd man situations for Anthony and for Joseph. So next thing you know, now when we get the ball, we were really dangerous. And he just did a great job of it. That first half, I thought he was really good in good pockets, keeping the ball, second balls. Guys were hungry to challenge. Jackson's a big guy. And we won a lot of second balls in that first half.
Finley's is a mission-driven pet brand redefining what it means to do business with purpose. Founded in 2016 by two former special education teachers, Finley's was created to address the staggering unemployment rate among individuals with disabilities, a community too often left out of the workforce. Every purchase of Finley's products supports real, paid job opportunities and community development for people with disabilities through the company's inclusive employment initiatives. From job coaching to community engagement, Finley's is creating a future where everyone has a seat at the table and a chance to thrive. Follow Finley's on Instagram @GetFinleys. Yeah, absolutely. That was really interesting second half because, as you said, it felt like Seattle started taking advantage a little bit more, and especially in the final couple minutes. As you mentioned, Jordan Morris got free on that right-hand side, caused some problems. Danny Musovsky with a couple of dangerous chances late in that match. As the game is ticking down, Dayne, and you know penalties are just a couple minutes away, and Seattle are coming up with big chance after big chance. What's going through your mind in that moment as the goalkeeper? Just trying to keep your defense organized and keep the ball out of your own net with the pressure that's on you at that point.
Disrupt the momentum. first and foremost, especially when, of course, if you get one, okay. But when you start to get 1, 2, potentially 3, it's about what can you do to now disrupt the momentum. I think some people probably shy away from the penalties, but I'm not someone that does. And I was like, all right, if I can get us to the penalties, that's probably our best option in the moment. Of course, there's other times where you're the team pushing for it, and you don't want that final whistle to blow, and you're trying to get that one more attack. But I think in that moment, it was assessing it that they had a little bit of that momentum for the last 5-10 minutes, especially, and it's about trying to slow it down in ways that we can to try to shock that momentum, and then to get us to finish out the game. And at the same time, if we would have went and caught them on the counter on one of those chances, because they're feeling confident throwing numbers forward, you know what I mean, when you get just a couple chances like that. And there's still moments, I think, like that where we can still catch teams on the counter. I think that's the great thing with the way that we play, is teams feel so comfortable in terms of they keep coming up, and then you realize, you look back and there's a lot of space behind you, and we've got some fast guys that can take advantage of that space in behind.
Yeah, I think that the those final 3 big chances they had, Roldan save to your left, outstanding. The Masak's near post, like you said, that was a really clever movement by him. He just great near post run. Our guys kind of froze. Next thing you know, it's one-on-one with Dayne.
It came out of nowhere.
And I still give the credit for I know everybody's going to say just an easy miss by Musovski, but I looked, Dayne stayed big. And as a player, when I used to play, the best thing that could ever happen is when a goalie decides to move early. And now I have a big goal to shoot at. And instead of thinking about both the goalie and where I'm going to put it, it's easy if the goalie just doesn't stay big, and now I could put it, that's it. Now I'm going to put it down there. Whereas Musovski, I think a lot of things went through his head, and I think Dayne staying big really helped him kind of make it nervous for how he's going to score that goal.
Yeah. So let's talk about the PK shootout, which I know everybody here wants to know about your mindset in that and everything that goes into the antics and the mind game. So let's talk about some of these saves and I guess the misses from Seattle as well. Alex Roldan.
They're saves.
Alex Roldan steps up, and you have some words with the referee, force him to move the ball back, and clearly that got in a little bit of Roldan's head there. And
now, you know it's a new rule now. I didn't know that. So is it the ball has to be more on the spot versus just it used to have to be just a little bit. Now it's like a large
the majority of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess when he went down the middle, is that something that you can tell a guy is going to go straight down the middle, or is that all down to preparation and studying their past however many PKs that they've taken?
I know it's a trend that he has. He does like to shoot other places as well, and has done so before. So, but I think it was kind of in the back of my mind, if I could try to maybe make him assume that I'm going to go one way, that he might just say, okay, I don't have to worry about either way. If he's going to go that way or not, I'm just going to go down the middle. It was something that I had thought about before. In the moment, I still had the decision to make whether I was going to do it or not. And I think it's very rare that you see 2 people go back to back down the middle. And I felt that in the moment, like I was just like, when he started walking up, I just felt like he's going to go down the middle. And I think sometimes you go with the data, sometimes you completely throw it out. You go with what you feel in the moment. And I think for me, that was one of those ones where I was like, I'm going to just try to throw him off. And then I think he'll revert to going down the middle, because arguably going down the middle is the safest option that you have, because more times than not, we're going to dive to the side, because if you stand down the middle and they put it in the corner, everyone's saying, well, why didn't you dive? You know what I mean? So it's definitely risky I'd say it's just as risky as a goalie to stay down the middle as it is for a player to shoot.
Yeah.
And I think people don't necessarily look at that from a goalie aspect, but with the way that these guys shoot the ball now, it's very hard not to leave a little bit earlier to try to just say, I'm going to react with some of the run-ups and things like that.
When you're walking up to, I guess, getting that for a penalty kick, what are the things you're watching for from the kick taker? Are you watching them and their body language all the way up to the penalty spot, or what are the things that you're looking for to as tells as to where they're going to shoot or how they're going to shoot?
Yeah, I like to see how confident they are when they come up. Of course, you see some guys real confident, they'll walk. Some guys jog. Some guys are willing to look at you. Some guys only want to look at the ball. So I think it's moments like that where you start to make those reads of, do I say something here? Do I already know where he's going, so I don't want to say anything to throw him off? So he switches, you know what I mean? So I think it's finding that balance of when to say things and when not to, or what to say. Do I know this guy personally to be able to say something that might throw him off? Like, I think about a few years ago, I hugged Kevin. You know what I mean? And like, he was one of my best friends on the team, but it forces him to maybe shift his mentality for a split second. And that's a split second that I can kind of take advantage of. And I think for me, it's so hard to save penalties. Like, we're at such a disadvantage. So I'm trying to live in the gray area of what can I do to potentially influence it so I don't even have to make a save. Like, the fact that 2 guys hit the post is, for me, has made more saves than me, and is the real man of the match.
I count those as saves. Those are saves.
But I like to say that with my presence and with my ability and my history of saving them, guys feel like that they have to put the ball in the corner. Yep. And I think that is what forces misses sometimes. I mean, sometimes you hit the ball. I don't care as long as it doesn't cross the line, is what I'm focused on.
You talk about trying to influence some of these kick takers. Can you share what you said to Christian Roldan? Before he missed his?
Yeah, I could share. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be over because I knew the score of the thing. But I was just checking in with the ref to see what the score of the penalties were, to say like, if he misses this, is it going to be over? Just to try to you want to delay them.
So good.
You want to delay them, and
so
I think
good.
The closer you can get to them, of course, the referees now are like, don't go up to talk to them. So I said, all right, I'm going to come talk to you. And especially, like, that's what I did on the last one, especially. Because, like, the last one, I think, was the one where I was obviously a tough moment where you get subbed on late in the game. You haven't really had much passes or fluid into the game. So there's a lot of pressure. He's a young player, and I know he's definitely capable of scoring. But I think for me, I was asking the ref, like, when he misses this, the game is going to be over, correct? So that he has to think about it now of the pressure of what the pressure of this moment actually is. It's not just am I going to score, am I going to not? It's the whole game is at risk now for you. Yeah. And I think for me, it's just planting little seeds and letting them water themselves.
It's awesome insight. Awesome.
But I also know that, like, now I'm going to have to maybe think of something different. You know what I mean? Like, not everything is going to work. And you see guys, they score and then they have words for you right back and you can't really say anything. And it's a tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, I know I'm at a disadvantage. So you almost have to try to do something. And you're always not going to be successful. But I think if you're successful on 1 or 2 of them to be able to throw things off, that could be the difference of winning or losing. And when guys do it in this score, credit to them. It's still not an easy thing for them to do. But for me, I'm just trying to basically delay so that they have more time to think about it. The crowd noise is going up, especially when we're at home. So it's just playing into all the aspects that can make the pressure in the moment bigger than it actually is.
Gotta ask, what went into kissing the goalpost afterwards?
I mean, it saved me. I dove the wrong way. On one, and the ball was going in the top corner on the other one where I wasn't going to save it. So it was definitely in the moment thing. Like, to be honest, on Christian's, like, I didn't even see it hit off the crossbar. Like, I heard it hit the post or crossbar, and I saw the ball go out, but I didn't know what part of the post it hit because he hit it so hard and so well and so high. But I think in that moment, it's just a little bit of showmanship for me too that I definitely enjoy. But I think it was subtle, but it brings the crowd into it as well. It's those little moments like that to add to the moment and make it remind myself too of, like, all right, you've done 2 now, and now it relaxes me as well, because especially watching the guys shoot, I'm probably more nervous sometimes than when I'm in net. And that's not to say I'm not confident in them. I think a lot of the talk was on me in making the saves, but the penalties that we shot, I thought were excellent.
Yeah.
Good pace and power, good locations. Even the Julian's off the post, like it's really a game of inches. I mean, you can say it for them as well. But I think for me, in the moment, it was just something that a natural reaction, like tried to celebrate, and that's what saved me on the moment.
Lastly, for me on the penalties, before we look ahead to game 2, when you see your own teammates, when they take theirs and they're putting them in as confidently and as powerfully as they are, does that give you a little bit of confidence boost going up, knowing that, hey, my teammates got my back, now my job's, if it gets any easier, which it's really not, it's a difficult, as you said, really difficult thing to do, does it give you a little bit of a confidence boost knowing that your teammates have your back in that situation and they've shown that they've done their end?
Oh, for sure. I think, especially for me, I always look at it. If you can save one of the first 2 or 3, that really applies the pressure now on the other team, or gives confidence to the guys that are shooting later in terms of probably the more pressurized penalties, because that's when the game can be decided officially. So I think if you can go into one of those with an advantage and allow them to say, okay, like, because I saved the second one, guys that are shooting 2, 3, and 4 have the pressure. If they miss, there's still another shot to be taken. It's not like the game is on the line. So I think for that moment, but yeah, seeing them score, it's like, you guys have done your thing. Now it's time for me to step up again. And in the moment, the shooter is representing the whole team, and then when I'm in net, I'm representing our whole team. So it's like 2 sides to the coin. And when you see one go in, it's like, all right, either I got a chance to win, or I got a chance to put more pressure on them again. So yeah.
I love how you talked about flipped it in a good way from what you were doing, because 3 of those 4 PKs, and Julian's was technically an outstanding PK. It just didn't go in at the post, because they were great 3 PKs. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Your favorite of those 3 PKs?
Shot? I mean, I won't lie. When Nectar took that second step, I was like, "Uh-oh." I said, "Uh-oh." I didn't know you stutter, but to be fair, he whipped it. I mean, for me, any penalty that crosses the line is a good penalty. It doesn't matter how it happens, as long as the ball crosses the line, and you see that little green box in the check when you're watching on the screen, is all that matters.
I do think when the 3 PKs were so good. I thought Yeboah's was really interesting, because I think Fry was not ready he was expecting a stutter, and I think he wasn't set, and it just happened so fast, and the next thing was in the back of the net. So that was interesting. I thought Kelvin's like, no, I'm going to go different than I have in a while and do something unexpected. It seemed like he got caught flat-footed a little bit on it.
Yeah, I have a great angle when I'm on the side and see both posts there and see everything. So I can't even tell you, like, I can only really see, is the ball going in or is it not? Obviously, you're kind of seeing a little bit. You're trying to turn your head, but like, my angle for viewing is not great.
Yeah. So when we look ahead to game 2, Monday night in Seattle, what changes for you guys in this game? Obviously, it's not like game 1 where everything's still on the line. Now it's Seattle with their backs against the wall. Their season could end on Monday night. You guys could move on to the next round. Manny, I'll start with you. What changes for you in game 2?
Well, I anticipate they're going to probably have something offensively like they finished up the game. So, I mean, there was probably going to be some criticism whether Morris should have been a number 9 or whether he should have played in the right wing. My guess is they bring in Musaski and they bring Boris to the right. So to me, it's a little bit about, I don't think it's going to be a like-for-like starting lineups the same. I think it's going to be a little bit different. Maybe Jesus Ferrer goes out. So I think for us, there's not much that changes, except for we've got to do what we did really well and make sure we lock that down, and then be a little bit honest about we can even play a little bit better. I do think we have another gear on the road that we've done earlier in the year that we haven't quite done in the last, against LA, really. That was not our best performance. So to me, I think the changes have to happen where we have that same mentality we have ourselves, and then we have that second gear in that second half especially, that I think there's guys individually that I know want to play a little bit better. They had some soft passes or soft decision-making. That's just not usually they do 2 games in a row. And then again, I think defensively we have to raise the level because I think they will come at us. They have to win the game, or they probably won't have to go to shootout. And I think we're going to have to make sure we manage Rothrock and Morris probably be on the wings now. they're tough players. They're hungry to get on the line, get crosses in. So to me, it's really making sure that that organization structure defensively from the get-go is there.
Dayne, what changes for you Monday night?
Yeah, I think the pressure of the game. You know that you're going against a team that's fighting for their life. Where you're going against a team that you beat on the road for the first time, that they're not taking lightly, to be able to kind of. No one wants their season to end. No one especially wants their season to end in front of their fans.
Yeah.
And as a great of a season that they've had, I know that they're hungry and they're pushing for more. So I think that is the mindset of managing the moment. But at the same time, we know that we've had success against them, and it's tough to win 4 games in a row against one team, especially a team as good as them. So we know that they're gonna come out fighting, and it's for us to match that mentality, and it's to do the things that we're true to ourselves and live our identity. That's kind of been what we've been saying as a team recently, getting back to what we do. And we know we can frustrate teams, and we know teams may have chances, but it's about managing the moment. We know the crowd's going to be in there for them. So for us, I think, we want to be able to, I think for me, I'd love to win it in the 90 minutes, you know what I mean? To not have to go to penalties. But if that's what it takes for us to move on to the next round, that's what we'll do. And I think the most important thing is we're going into it we're not going in there to say we're going to come back for game 3. We want to get that second win and end the series, and be able to kind of prepare for the next round after that. But we know it won't be easy. And so in terms of the preparation and things like that, I think the mindset is going to be the biggest thing. And then Eric will give us whatever tactical tweaks that he sees fit, and for us to go out and then execute the game plan.
Yeah, it's so funny. The vibe of these games totally remind me of a World Cup group of 4, the second game. Because if you have a team that's lost their first game, they have to not lose or they're out. If you have a team that wins, they want to get through the 6 points and get to the second round. So you kind of have this intensity that's just even ratcheted up a notch than this game 1. And I think Dayne's right. I think in terms of the group just making sure they're hungry to say, hey, we want to end this now and end it in Seattle. So, and I do think Seattle is, a little taken aback. I think, like, how are we not beating these guys? And I love that. I love that our guys are showing good soccer, good work rate, good unity and diversity, can win soccer games.
We'll open it up to you guys for questions here in a second. I've just got one final question before we do that. You mentioned, Dayne, it's hard to beat a team this many times in one season. What changes have you seen out of them over these 3 games against Seattle, where you've beaten them 3 times now? And what do you expect on Monday night?
Well, I think first and foremost, personnel for both teams, whether it's been injuries, transfers, new players. That's from game 1 to game now. There's been different players playing, so that of course changes things. But in terms of, like, we played them the first 2 games, I feel like it feels like forever ago, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the first one
it's
was
like
in June. The second one was in August.
Yeah.
So it's
Been
like
a while.
it's been so long ago, where they're not necessarily out of your mind in terms of the results and things like happen, but to be able to tell you every moment. I remember, we were up there away, and it ended up being the end of the game was a lot closer than we would have wanted to. So I think even having that mindset of, if we go take a lead there, it's about closing it out. I think there's no secrets to the way that we both play. There's not going to be a whole bunch of changes that it's going to really shock the world for either team. So I think it's just about managing the moment. Even listening to them, they kind of got asked the same thing if anything surprised them, and the answer was no. And I think the same thing kind of goes vice versa. You know what their backline's capable of. You know that they're going to play a possession-based style. You know they have a dynamic midfield that's going to rotate. You know they've got fast wingers and multiple players that can play in the 9 and do well with crosses. Like the last time we played there, they did crossing a lot of balls, so maybe they do play on the wing a little bit more. But for us, I don't think there's this time of the year, you're not really surprised by what any team does, because the experiment time's over. It's all about results in this moment.
Ready to open up some questions?
Let's
from
do it,
the fans? We got some microphones. out there. If you guys want to ask some questions of Dayne St. Clair
Or Manny Legos.
or Manny.
Let's go with Dayne.
Hi. First of all, shout out to Jonathan. Great questions, thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
Dayne, your voice is fantastic as a leader. I mean, the way that you just line up everybody and your passion on the field is appreciated. This is no time for Minnesota nice, so keep that up. I'm wondering, who do you think is your rival? Is Seattle a rival to you? I know as a fan, hell is real when I watch you guys. For me, it is hard. Who do you think is the closest?
I wish we had a true rivalry, to be honest. And I think it's tough for us to say that they are our rival when they have Portland and they have Vancouver in the Cascadia Cup. So, like, because I don't want to be someone's, like, second rival, to be honest. Like, if I want it, I want tackles flying. I want arguments. I want fights in the tunnel. Like, I want it all, to be honest. Like, that's a rivalry to me. And I think that's the most passionate games. Obviously, like you said, like, I'm a very passionate player. And I think, like, that's the thing for me that I wish we had as a club is, like, a true rivalry of, like, real hatred between the teams. And it's, like, from the fans, the supporters, like, I want it to be, like, this is the biggest game of the season that everyone circles. And unfortunately, we don't have that. But I kind of try to bring that approach with everyone and start to try to pick some fights sometimes to kind of get that flowing in my head to be able to approach it like that. But then, I mean, that's my mindset. But there's other guys that play best when they have a big smile on their face and everything's nice. So it's all about whatever motivates the individual.
I mean, the reality here is this is not just a soccer problem. This is all Minnesota sports. We don't quite have a rival where teams hate us just as much. Although I think, as MLS grows and there's different conferences potentially and different things, I still think it could get there. But I think Dayne's spot on. I think, the Cascadia Cup, they're pretty locked
For me,
in.
like, Chicago's right there. But, we don't have it. Like, the nicest rivalry in sports, I hated it. Like, it was.
I'm with you.
It was the worst name for a rivalry. And then, of course, St. Louis comes, so of course, all of a sudden we're not rivals anymore between us and Kansas City, but yeah.
I think you're right. I think Chicago's got a shot in the future.
So
I think
like,
if they do conference realignment and things like that.
But you need some of the games, meaningful games of
it's about winning.
knocking teams out or bad tackles or something to really kind of get it going because like you want it to be authentic at the same time.
Dayne, thanks for a great season. And as far as Minnesota United fans are concerned, you're MLS goalie of the year. So good luck there.
Thank
you. We talked a lot about PKs. So question, when you practice PKs with the Loons, who is the one player you don't want to face? And who is the one player you get in their mind and you've got their number?
Honestly, I don't really like practicing PKs because for me, everything that I thrive on in the moment is the pressure of the moment. So it's impossible to recreate that when you're practicing. Because if you put a ball on a spot 11 yards out and there's no pressure, majority of the time, I'd say 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 out of 100, you're going to be able to put this ball in the spot that you want. And at the same time, it's practice. So you might try to say, okay, I'm going to switch a different side or I'm not going to do, but like when your back's against the wall and your season is on the line, everyone has somewhere where they're more comfortable doing. And I think from my stand, that's where I thrive on it is in those moments. So I actually hate practicing them because my record in practice isn't great. I think, but to answer your question, Kelvin is probably the hardest one with his run up because it kind of stifles you a little bit. He has the ability, he's comfortable in going both ways. He can run up straight when he chooses to as well. So I think he is probably, but I let Kane practice all the penalties, to be honest. Like, whenever anyone wants to practice, of course, I practice a couple leading up to it just in terms of timing. But during the season when we're not, like, we don't have a game going into penalties and people want to try them, I'm, like, looking at whatever academy goalie or second-team goalie that we have, and I'm like, it's your turn to go in. And then if I was to say someone on the team, I would probably say Loic, but we just have that relationship. Like we have that like big brother, little brother relationship where I can like play into his head a little bit. But I'll use that in small sided. I'll use it like talk in practice all the time too. Sorry if you guys have to blur that out in the final edit, but
I do love the insight though. It's interesting because the player insight's different. They do practice and they try to recreate a little bit of pressure, and the guys just want the rhythm of it. So it is interesting to hear how Dayne say, no, I don't think it's the same for us. And he's kind of right, because it's a different mentality and vibe. Whereas the players just want a little confidence to build into, like, when it's a game, that's their rhythm of going into it. Which, again, you could say was really tough on Julian going to the game. He didn't get a touch in the game. That was essentially his first touch was the PK.
Anybody else?
So I noticed before you did the BKs that you crouched down and covered your head, and I've seen you do that before. What's going through your head at that time? Are you like talking yourself up, or are you trying to be a zen, trying to clear your head as much as possible?
Yeah, definitely the latter. I think it's calming myself down. Of course, as soon as the final whistle blows, you see everyone kind of organized, and I think we do a very good job of staying composed in that moment. The guys get together, Cam list who's going, and you've definitely seen it around before of chaotic or asking guys around who wants to take it, and there's real confidence and composure, I think, in what we do and the approach that we have. And that's a lot of credit to the coaching staff, because I think that they kind of put that onto us, and it gives you confidence too when they say, hey, you're taking a penalty. Like we practice them, of course, and we feel confident, and you kind of get that nod of honor versus you're looking and like, do I want to? And of course, some guys that wanted to take one didn't get to, and maybe would have taken, but and it creates some, because we won, it creates a little bit of banter in the locker room of, hey, you were shooting number 10 and they put you number 10, and I like to joke with them saying, like, I was going to shoot before both of you guys. But to get back to your original question, yeah, I'm just kind of calming myself down, because I know I'm going to get hype in a few minutes after that, especially with the crowd, but it's kind of just allowing myself to kind of get in my own zone, and just prepare for representing the whole team, to be honest.
Have you ever shot a penalty?
Oh, no, as a kid.
Not in a professional game, not in college?
Not in a professional game or not in college yet.
Goalies tend to be good at them.
They do.
We do get to practice.
You can, plus, you guys are hitting it at each other all day. It just, it's a very similar kind of technique.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. That was fun.
That was
great.
Good.
That was
awesome. Amazing insight, by the way.
Yeah,
Dayne, really
appreciate it.
Fascinating, to be honest. Really.
Thank you guys for all coming for the live show as well. I think it was definitely enjoyable and something a little bit different versus we're in a room of cameras and people in the back normally anyway, so thank you guys for coming out tonight. Yeah.
Big game coming up Monday night. Minnesota United game 2 against Seattle
traveling.
Sounders. I'm traveling. We'll be on the road. We'll be calling the game from Lumen Field. Looking forward to it. Dayne, best of luck on game 2 on Monday night. Do want to give shout outs. Craig Blair, Ivan Buss, Chris Morrison, Noah Johnson, Grace Dearson. Thank you all for setting this up. Brit's Pub, thanks for hosting us. The friendly staff in the back, the Do Good Stuff Foundation, go visit them, go check out their booth. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and looking forward to game 2 Monday night. We'll have the radio call 9 p.m. on Score North pre-match show, 9:55 kickoff. I know it's a little bit late, so drink your coffee, drink your energy drinks, take a nap if you can on a Monday, but looking forward to game 2 and hopefully coming back with a win. Dayne, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, Dayne,
You're
awesome.
supposed to say drink the beer.
Drink the beer.
Drink the beer.
Drink the beer.
Yeah, awesome stuff, Dayne. Good luck.
Appreciate
Good luck.
Thank you guys.
Sure.